Hello, my monstrosities. Hello once again. Today I bring to you an idea. Just an idea that I want to share. Um, Flyers have not received any love from GW this edition, and as I've been going through detachments and models, because it doesn't look like a lot of things are going to receive much love by the time the edition ends, right? Maybe that's just me being a pessimist, but that's just how I see it. I wanted to go back through some things that we haven't seen too much, too often, and see if they actually have a niche use at all. And I'm on the Heldrake today because of the flyer conversation. Me finding, I don't want to make it seem too grandiose, but finding use for the Hive Crone in one of my favorite Tyranids detachments. We've seen Skari bring out the Void Raven Bomber. John Lennon this past weekend brought out the Storm Raven gunship. We've seen the Harridan in Tyranids. We've seen the Tiger Shark for Tau. So there is definitely times and places to bring out aircraft, and it gets better, kinda, sometimes, when they have hover, right? It depends on the situation, but it does get better when they have hover. And the Heldrake is one of those aircrafts that has hover. Now, I will say, it has, like, every keyword except for monster to have anti against, right? There's anti vehicle, and I guess not Titanic either, or Psyker, but, just saying on the funny thing that it has chances to be shot, but it is a T9 vehicle with a 3 up save, a 5 up invuln, and 12 wounds. So your opponent has to dedicate an ounce of something to it. And the other thing about this is that I have found the Hive Crone to be useful in eating screens for the points. Um, now, mind you, I landed on that out of not truly spite, but let's just call it spite. In the fact that if you tell me to take a 215 point unit that I have to cross my fingers will deliver this damage, I'll take this 200 point unit, pick up the screen that will block my other units, and possibly fire Overwatch. And the Heldrake can do that. So with the Bale Flamer, it is an ignores cover torrent, 12 inches of range, d6 plus 3 attacks, strength 6, AP 1, damage 2. That's not too bad. With Airborne Predator, each time this model makes an attack that targets a unit that can fly, add 1 to the hit roll. That will come in handy for the Heldrake Claws that are anti-fly 2 up, devastating wounds, 5 attacks, hitting on 3s, strength 7, AP 1, damage 2. So for 205 points, you have access to a hovering aircraft vehicle demon that has a screen clearing flamer and anti-fly 2 up devastating wounds. That part surprised me, right? Because anti-fly 2 up doesn't sound too impressive at edition start, but that means you can do unexpected damage to something like Angron and Mortarion and Magnus just for crashing a Heldrake into it, right? They didn't really expect that. You take a 20-inch movement model, because we're talking hover, and crash it into that, and just roll some twos, both for hits and wounds. Yeah, devastating wounds. Now, mind you, hell, this even works on Catan to an extent. Gotta worry about the feel no pains from all the shit. But this is significant damage for something that you were just using for utility, right? Or for the most part for utility. Clear screens, park it somewhere, fire Overwatch anything that moves in its direction, and then crash into a target that might not want to be crashed into with anti-fly 2 up devastating wounds. So yeah. Now, this is an unusual video for me, that is, in the sense that I'm going to talk about two detachments compared to one that I think this actually might be viable in. why is this weird for me? I'm not a CSM player, and two, usually I try to go the other way, where it's just like, oh, look at these detachments, and then here's data sheet. But anywho, the first detachment is a no-brainer, right? It is a demon vehicle. We're talking Soulforge Warpack, and this gives you a unique opportunity. Um, Nothing stops you from activating the Dark Pact, except for usually your common sense. If you have a flamer, you can't get sustained or lethals. But with Soulforge Warpack, if you activate your Dark Pact, you can make it invoke its contract, so -1 from the leadership test, and now your ranged attack has +1 to wound. So now a 6/1/2 flamer, d6 plus 3 attacks, that is +1 to wound, doesn't sound too bad. And then on the front of the melee, +2 attacks, so now you're attacking with 7 attacks, 7/1/2 devastating wounds, anti-fly 2 up. Yeah, now you actually have a conversation of just picking up a Demon Primarch for the fuck of it, right? Especially because you can give sustained on the melee weapons. So, I'm just saying, you roll lucky enough, you, for 205 points, can pick up a 300 something point unit. And then beyond that, with Soulforge Warpack, now that we have a reason to Dark Pact on our ranged attacks, you have access to Desperate Pledge. Until the end of the phase, if your unit invokes its contract each time it makes an attack, improve the AP characteristic of that attack by 1. So now you have a 6/2/2 flamer with +1 to wound. And fire Overwatch, and all the things that I've said before. Not too bad. And the reason we come over here also is because I've been talking about the Hive Crone, or been thinking about it. I made one video, but who there, this, that, whatever. I've been considering more and more like the Hive Crone and Crusher Stampede, because you take that 20-inch move for hover and you go through a fucking wall and you flame away. You call it a day. You can do that essentially here with Soulforge Warpack and Unstoppable Rampage. One Heretic Astartes vehicle, or Vastor, unit from your army that has not been selected to move or charge this phase. Until the end of the phase, each time your unit makes a normal advance or charge move, it can move horizontally through terrain features as if they were not there. Don't even have to roll to see if you become battle shocked after it. So, in Soulforge Warpack, a 6/2/2 +1 to wound flamer while you go through walls doesn't sound too bad for 205 points. Doesn't sound too bad for 205 points to me. And then you might have 7 uh 1/2 anti-fly, 2 up devastating wounds on your melee attacks. I'm just saying, that's kind of, and you can't stop it. It's a flying vehicle, right? You can't move block it. Well, okay, technically there's a will, there's a way. Um but you have to figure out what, or your opponent has to figure out what they're going to do with that and Soulforge Warpack. But now that's asking people to play Soulforge Warpack. Now moving on to a detachment that people are playing and gives you roughly the same thing I just said. Surprisingly, Renegade Raiders. See, I covered a week or two ago. We saw a list that had double Khorne Lord of Skulls. So if that shit could work, I think a Heldrake or two can work in Renegade Raiders. Renegade Raiders gives your ranged weapons assault. If you now have a 20-inch move, an additional possible 6 inches kind of works. And each time a Heretic Astartes model from your army makes an attack that targets a unit within range of an objective marker, improve the AP characteristic of that attack by 1. So, you have a different way of having access to a 6/2/2 flamer. Not too bad. And you just don't let your opponent touch an objective. And if they touch an objective, guess what? They get a little bit silly. Um, the other thing about this, well, hey, guess what? Everybody tried to make it seem like Star Shatter was just going to blow the doors down, and the only thing it's blowing the doors down of is the popularity contest in the stats. But Renegade Raiders has been reliable. There's some interesting things you can do in Renegade Raiders. We've been seeing Obliterators come out, and a few other things, but I say, why not try to make a Heldrake go into that too? As far as I'm concerned, if people can just run pretty much anything in Renegade Raiders, a vehicle, like this is fucking Cult of Speed, might as well try to be in Renegade Raiders. I know technically it was supposed to be what Red Corsairs and that's more mounted, which funny enough they didn't get a move through all strat, but you know, there's nothing here for the stratagems in the for the Helldrick really. You can give it precision or -1 AP, uh, but it's whatever. I mean, unflailing obdurate might actually not be too bad in the sense that you get to move this model in angles and ways that maybe not more than one attacking unit will have an angle on it at a time. Um, so there's that into that regard, but I understand trying to tell somebody not only, hey, run a Helldrake just for the lulls. You might be surprised by what it actually accomplishes for you for 205 points. Then to tell them Soulforge Warpack might be out of my mind. But Renegade Raiders, I think it's fine enough there, just for the detachment rule alone. You can also try Packbound Zealots, and I would say probably keep it as Chaos Undivided, so you get reroll hit rolls of 1 on your melee. Um, when you do activate a Dark Pact, right? I guess you could go for Slanesh with melee crits on 5 sustained. I don't know. I think you just go Chaos Undivided, reroll hit rolls of 1, and that way you have access to Profane Zeal to get reroll the wound roll. And this activates in shoot or fight phase, so you have Profane Zeal for both your Flamer at 612 and now your anti-fly 2 of Devastating Wound Heldrake Claws that are possibly rerolling ones to hit and getting sustained hits 1. So, you know, Heldrake, I think there's some play there. A bad time to mention Drake's right now, but we're here. So hey, if you like the video, like it. Got a comment for me, comment. And until next time, peace out, my monstrosities.